It is 9 a.m. Eastern time here in Cleveland. So we're going to kick this off. My name is Michael Goldberg. I'm our executive director at the Veale Institute for Entrepreneurship at Case Western Reserve University here in Cleveland, Ohio. I'm also a professor at the Weatherhead School of Management, our business school. I really appreciate folks joining for a special session of our entrepreneurship speaker series. We do a series of talks around, we call it Beyond Silicon Valley. And certainly today's topic is Beyond Silicon Valley. Really appreciate Sasha Bondar and Veale joining us from the Ukraine to share their perspectives on what is going on. Also, we have a friend and entrepreneur here in Cleveland, Rod Carmi, who is one of the co-founders of Toa Technologies, which was acquired by Oracle, which has had a long relationship with partners in the Ukraine. So I asked Rod if he could join as well to give his perspective on what he's seeing with his colleagues. And really the goal of today's discussion is sort of through the eyes of Sasha, Veale, and Rod and others who may be joining, is to deepen our understanding of what's happening with the tech community and the entrepreneurship community in Ukraine, the role that they play in building some of the really important global companies. And just given the war and the movement of people, what is it like for folks on the ground? So we're thrilled to be able to host this conversation. My former student and Case grad and Ukrainian American and Ukrainian Clevelander, Igor Tudelman, is going to moderate today. And we encourage you all to, if you have questions that you'd like to ask Sasha and Veale or Rod, please raise your hand, put them in the chat. I'm thrilled that probably the busiest man on our campus, Roman Shermeta, who's a colleague at the Weatherhead School of Management, who just returned to Cleveland from Kyiv, where he is helping launch the American University in Kyiv. I know you've got like several panels today, Roman, so thanks for being part of today's discussion. It's great to have you here. So with that, Igor, let me turn it over to you for you to run the show.
All right, I'll restart my spiel. Thank you, Sasha, Veale, Rod, Roman, everyone for being here today. I know this is an important topic that we see a lot in the news, and a lot of us are scared for the people of Ukraine, scared for ourselves, trying to understand, what's really going on here. And we've seen that Ukraine has really entered the tech scene these last few years, and that's something that I want to talk about today. So just to really kick things off, I want to toss it over to Sasha and Veale and Rod, and just can you all give us a little bit of background about yourselves and your entrepreneurship journey and what brings you here today?
Sure. Thank you. Thank you for having me here in this conference. So I'm a software developer by my profession and entrepreneur in the soul. So like I'm doing almost 15 years of software development and building teams. I worked in outsourcing industry, and now in the recent 3 years, I'm building the platform for software engineers from Ukraine to find product companies in like Western product companies, and to work with them directly. So this is what I'm doing. Yeah.
Thank you. Veale?
Okay. I'm software engineer with experience about 20 years in the field. Recently in 2015, I've created my own company, product company, and it is we build games primarily for mobile, and at the moment we have collaboration with Jamie at certain projects, and other clients too. So that's a short introduction about myself.
Thank you.
Well,
I'm
one
Irad
second.
Karmi.
Vitaly, one second. Vitaly is selling himself short. He actually has a whole team of 3D modelers and illustrators. So he's not a solo shop. They have he has a whole team that he takes care of in Ukraine. I just wanted to throw that in.
So my name is Irad Karmi. I'm a Vice President of Product Development at Oracle. Prior to joining Oracle, I ran my own software company, which I sold to Oracle. And I've been working with absolutely outstanding developers in Ukraine for nearly 20 years. I mean, my first visit to Ukraine was in May of 2002. It's been a fantastic collaboration. And at this point, it's a very sad and trying moment for all of us. And I can say that Oracle is making incredible efforts to help every single person who works with me in Ukraine to get to safety.
Yeah, it's definitely a difficult time. Thank you all for that. Next, I want to, we see a commonality here. You've all got a strong background in tech and a little bit of product development there as well. But that I don't think is necessarily typical for individuals, coming from a developing nation. Can you talk a little bit about the unique challenges that you've encountered along the way, working in a high-tech industry in a developing nation? Maybe we can start off with Sasha.
You mean the challenging in which time? Like right now or before?
As you were starting off, but now there's a lot of obvious challenges.
As we started, so the IT industry in Ukraine grew very rapidly, starting from beginning of 2000. So it was the entire industry was built in first as outsourcing. So a lot of companies came to Ukraine to hire software developers, and then slowly our entrepreneurs started to build products. So I'm not sure I think the growth was quite fast. So it took like 20 years, honestly, I don't have ability to compare. So for me, it just it was fast, and the base for this was, and it is still outsourcing, where we learn how to build products by building those products for our customers. And as more we do this, the more and more people start to build own businesses and own products. But still, main like a lot of, I don't know, maybe this is 60% of entire IT business is outsourcing. This is the services we do for other companies. Yeah, that's all.
Any thoughts, Vitaly? Any challenges that you?
I think that main challenges we have in our business here is lack of support from government. Every entrepreneur needs to establish its own company or its own way with own funds, and there is no such kind of funding from government or some programs that allow to take loans and start your own company, despite of the other countries, as far as I know. So that is the main challenge. Another challenges are probably finding the right clients which you want to work with. On the beginning, when you start your company, there are often like cheaters who try to have no payment for the work you've done. And that's sad, because there is no, like, you need to find your own path, overcome all those pitfalls, and then you can grow your company. Besides from that, I think that universities in Ukraine have no programs for studying, learning the people of building its own startup or something like this. And I think those are main challenges for us here. Like, it's more complicated to build a company in Ukraine than in any other part of the world, especially these times.
Yeah, definitely. What about you, Irad? Have you noticed any unique challenges in managing a team of Ukrainian developers?
So I can relate. I can relate to the times where I established my company in Ukraine. We actually had two subsidiaries in Ukraine, independent companies. And at that time, that was 2003, 2004, we could not even find an office building. There were no office buildings in the city where we operated, only old, empty factories. We ended up in a refurbished factory. And beyond the location, the biggest challenge was that Ukraine was not a business-friendly country at all. Immense technology, quite a bit of corruption, and it was a lot of effort to run the business despite those conditions. The reason we decided to be in Ukraine and were extremely successful was that the level of talent is unmatched by any other country in the world. Even though Ukraine, after the breakdown of the Soviet Russia, was an impoverished country, during the USSR days, Ukraine was the brain trust of the USSR, the high-tech basically center. There were republics where the USSR dug coal or gold. There were places where they grew some, I don't know, wheat, but Ukraine was the center of development, research, missile design, and despite the uncertain situation after the breakdown of the USSR, the level of education, which was extremely high to begin with, was the most desired universities in the USSR, where in Ukraine, level of education was maintained. So that was definitely the key to my company's success, being able to operate in Ukraine. And for that, we treated our employees as employees. We did not outsource the work. These were full employees. They had stock option in my company. They became very rich after we sold the company to Oracle, and they still work with me to this date.
Thank you for that. Roman, do you want to add anything on that, especially with your recent experiences with American University of Kyiv?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially in the area of tech. I mean, this is one of the probably one of the most prominent areas that Ukraine has been developing and making a lot of progress. So just to give you a heads up, the American University of Kyiv, the two schools that we were opening and are opening, once the oldest madness is gone, basically was the School of Business Administration, School of Digital Technologies, which is basically the IT school, because there is so much need for the IT professionals in Ukraine, a lot of demand, and some of the really great talent is coming out of there. So we wanted to tap into that field and make sure that we help IT students to develop into basically professionals that can jump on right away on startups with the companies that are already developing tech and IT products. And so for that, we also partnered with EPAM. EPAM, if you know, it's one of the probably biggest kind of IT companies that was built on, it's one of the S&P 500 companies that was built on the grounds of the Soviet Union, mostly in Russia, Belarus, and Ukraine. Since the war, their stock plummeted like 60% because, you know, all the talent comes from those countries, and so they're right now have a lot of uncertainties, but they are the partners of the university. They have committed significant amount of money to develop, and I think they're definitely not planning to back out of it, because with war, this effort of developing a strong IT cluster and a high quality education for IT sphere is imperative. You know, it's became even more so important, and a lot of government programs from the US that are being right now offered that are basically gonna support our effort as well. We just have a lot of uncertainty. Where are we gonna go? Are we gonna go with Lviv? Are we gonna go with Kiev? You know, where we're going to open and continue our operation, but we definitely plan to continue the operation to build the platform for new startups, the platform for students to get high quality education, get engaged right away with the top-notch companies. By the way, a lot of IT companies are already collaborating with us, and they are basically saying, hey, you know, we want to get access to this high quality pool of students that you will be attracting, because you're going to be attracting the students who want to, you know, be fluent in English and right away being able to sort of jump in and work on great projects. So we already had a lot of IT partners, that the companies that, you know, I got to meet, that their CEOs, most of them have Ukrainian or Slavic roots. And so I really hope that, you know, we can continue this effort, because it's a great there are great opportunities, as all of you know, in Ukraine for this particular direction. And so we just want to add to that. You know, we want to create a pool of talent, and we want to make sure that this will be another brick on which we'll be able to rebuild Ukraine after the war. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Very, very powerful, and a lot of incredible work that's being done by AUK and Oracle and all these different tech companies. Just a quick reminder to everyone, feel free to submit any questions that you personally have, either through LinkedIn Live or through the chat here on Zoom, but let's keep moving forward. I know that a common theme that seemed to come up is, you know, government support is lacking. There's lack of support from academia, which is something that Roman is working on. You know, what do you all see as steps being in the positive direction for ameliorating these situations, for introducing resources to make sure that, you know, we can exit this situation not 5 steps back, not 10 steps back, but a little bit closer to where we started from? So rephrase that question, and we'll start off with Sasha and then go Veale and Irad. What sort of resources do you think are most essential right now to make sure that we can exit this and grow?
So I think the best way to eliminate those what doesn't work. I think right now, in terms of starting business in Ukraine, it became very easy. So it's much more easier than like 15 years ago. But for us, I think the most important thing is skills of building businesses, building IT businesses. As we do, as Ukrainian software engineers work mostly in clients' projects, we learn a lot on building those businesses by doing this. And I think this is the most valuable knowledge that we're receiving. It takes a long time, but then this helps a lot. So in terms of steps, definitely schools, university that provides not only technology but also a business skills for our IT people. So this is something that definitely it's helping, and this will help in the future. So as Irad mentioned about the technical skills, that's true. A lot of our customers says that they build team here in Ukraine, and they say the most valuable or the most valuable thing they receive here is that developers that you just hire and they just work. They don't need even a long period of like to start the work. They very good fit in company cultures, in Western company cultures. Developers fit right away, and they work in distributed teams, in multinational teams very well. So adding to this, we need more business, I think business education and business experience. Another thing that I would mention is that, again, I'm referring to Irad's story about developers who became rich. We need those stories because we don't have them publicly. And this something that will help entire community much more than maybe some courses, because the story that we see that we can join the company, we can become the part of the company, to have for example, stock options. A very small amount of developers know how it works, the stock options. They're afraid to join the companies. For example, if this is something that developer receive anyway, that's okay. But then when developer can choose to join the startup with equity or just for without, that like we need to know this more. We need more stories about this. It's happening, but well, I'm not sure how this could be, how it could become faster. Maybe just more stories. I mean, successful stories. Yes, thanks.
Yeah, they're definitely very important, and they play an impact on the morale. Vitaly, any thoughts on that?
What kind of resources? I think that a lot of people will gladly start working right away. Like most of those skilled resources are currently far away from their houses. Most of the people I know, they just moved to Lviv, for example, or some eastern region farther away from the war. And I think there will be high requirement in different areas. Like currently, many clients have stopped working in Ukraine, like they have frozen their projects because of the uncertainty in the project terms, in the project finish dates, and so on, because of the current situation. And after the war will finish, there will be a high demand on those resources who are currently on hold. I'm pretty sure they all will gladly return to the work, and those projects will continue because the clients wants to work with Ukrainian developers. They're very skilled, technically skilled, experienced, and they have the needed knowledge to complete those projects. So I'm pretty sure all kind of resources in all areas will be highly demanded after the conflict resolves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that definitely makes sense. Hopefully resolved sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
Shifting it over to Irad, can you talk a little bit more about what today looks like for you? What does it look like to work with, such a team that's centered in an area of conflict? How's your day-to-day changed?
So a great part of my day is working with a very large team that is dedicated to helping our employees reach safety. We are in touch. We have a very large group of people in Ukraine. We're in touch with every person. We help them, we help their families. Some people are in neighboring countries. Some people, my team originally was, a large part of my team was in the eastern part of Ukraine that is now under heavy fighting. And a somewhat smaller portion of my team is on the western border with Poland, which right now there's not really much hostile activity there. So for the Eastern Ukraine employees, helping them reach safety in any way possible, and there are quite a few ways to do it. Some of them have made it to the east, some of them are on their way, some of them are still sleeping in subway stations or in friends' apartments or in some villages outside the city. So that is really not the number one priority. For the people who are stable and have access to their laptops and internet, if they have the frame of mind to work, they have plenty of work to do, and we let them make this decision. Some work more, some work less, some don't work. It's really up to them. We all understand that it is a situation that is changing all the time and will take some time to settle down. So we continue to work with, we have also teams in the US and in India, so we continue to work with the teams that are available and the Ukraine developers who are available, and helping the ones that need to reach safety as quickly as possible.
Thank you for that. It's very encouraging to hear that you guys are dedicating so many resources to make sure that your team is continuing to stay safe during these times. I actually, I know, Jamie, you're working primarily with a Ukrainian development team. If you don't mind me looping you in, what's it been like from your perspective? I mean, you're probably obviously not making your sprints, but I think that's the least of concerns today.
So we have a mixed development team. We have some of our developers are here in the States, including in Ohio in the West Coast. And then Veale is our primary Unity resource. Our biggest, the Ukraine team for us is doing a lot of the 3D modeling of our assets. We're developing an amateur animation platform. And so animation requires a lot of 3D assets. So Veale's team at Dadcom Games has been critical for that. Our focus too has been really on trying to get in touch with people, making sure they're safe, making sure they have funds available so that they can get out. Veale has been taking the real lead on that though, because he's there. All that we can do from here is offer encouragement, support, urge them to move, which can be really challenging. Because some people don't drive, and in some cases you have cities getting surrounded. You've got a trip that would normally take 6 hours, taking 18 hours and being limited to 2 liters of gas. So as Veale was sharing, and Veale, I hope you don't mind me sharing this, but as Veale was sharing with me, having to aim for the next gas station. So business continuity, workflow continuity has been really our second focus. Wow. The reality is that these people are not just the work that they do. These are our friends. Excuse me. These are people that we care about, and it affects everyone on the team. Because all of us are worried that we're going to hear from Veale that Max is gone, that Christina didn't make it, that no one can reach Anton, or we're not going to hear from Veale at all. They're going to lose internet, and we're not even going to know what's going on. This impacts us because we're human beings first. The business is second. We're doing our best to carry on. Veale has been amazing because he works constantly. He's been working. He was working when there was gunfire outside, when they could hear bombs going off. And I understand that part of that is because sometimes people need things to do. And so we're supportive of that as well. We're completely supportive of that. But you have to take a people first approach, because your company is nothing without the people that are building it for you. And I want, I want our team to be safe. I know that doesn't exactly get to your question, but what it's been like for us is really difficult, but not nearly as difficult as it has been for Veale and his team. All that we can do, and what I urge anyone who's doing business in Ukraine or who wants to do business in Ukraine is, these are of course hard workers, talented folks, but they're people and they need to hear the words of support at the very least. And if we can get extra funds to them, even if they're not working, and I made that that pledge to Veale that if it's an issue of funds to get people out, I don't care if they're not working right now. We will get what money we can get to them to help them get out. That's just the right thing to do.
Thank you for that, Jamie. That was very powerful, and that's honestly says a lot about your company and the people that manage to have interactions with the Ukrainian people. We continue to work with them and have wonderful relationships. I know, just a day or two ago, I got a call from my own father, and he said, my best friend, his name's also Igor. He's a doctor just south of Kiev. He just gave me a call and he said, this might be the last time that we ever talk. So it's, it's a situation, it's an issue that spreads across borders. It transcends what we know. And it's very moving, it's very powerful. I'd like to turn it over a little bit more to Sasha and Veale and, get your perspective on what's it like to wake up and work, or, can you work? Are there days when, you can't? What does it look like?
Well, it's hard to work. If Veale can work, he's a hero. Yes, it's hard to work, but I can confirm that what Jamie said, that about the relationships and with the people, because what we do, we help our customer to build their own team. So we are not doing, so they are kind of employees of our customers, direct employees. And all those companies, they have teams of 20 or 10 or 5 people. All of them did amazing support for all people, like the same way, like paying salaries even there is no work done. So for example, every customer doing this differently, but the trend is the same for everyone. They pay upfront. They pay for like next 2 weeks without any expectation of any work. And this support, we are very thankful to all the people around the world for that support and that they provide to our developers. Still, a lot of developers in first days was able to find a place. Like the first few days, most of the families try to find safe place. Some of them went to Poland or other country if it's near the border. Some of them went to villages or western part of the country. And beginning from the Monday, so the Friday, that was total, I think, mess. No one did any work in general. But starting from the Monday, Monday, I think more than half of the team started to do some work, like few hours a day to support communication. And the biggest part of this work was actually communication, like trying to reconnect, to do some support, maybe even knowledge transfer to other team members. So this is what I see, and it's continuing. So the amazing support from the companies, developers still work, and it's really sounds like there is the alarms, and some developers can work. So yeah, so this is the situation. It's hard, but still developers, in most cases, when they are autonomous, they trying to make things done even in this situation. And in exchange, we receive a lot of support and loyalty. And yeah, and we're trying to to make this not one-side relationships. And one more thing, some customers also created the chats where they chat about the status of each person, and they call this families. This wasn't the same this way before the war, but then again the relationships become much more important these days. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I know that my family, we have a few people that we call on a daily and check in and make sure, you know.
Igor, if you don't mind, I'll also chip in. I mean, I have
Absolutely.
we started American University Kiev on February 3rd. The day before the invasion, I actually flew by coincidence, because I was supposed to be actually flying back to Ukraine today, or like these days, basically. I booked the ticket that was first available just to see my wife, and then planning to go back to Ukraine. I didn't expect that there will be full-blown invasion. So we had a team that was working. I mean, my official leave of absence starts in July, but I was already getting more involved because I'm stepping into executive role in the university. And so I hired the faculty, I hired basically some people, and now those faculty, it is a really heartbreaking story. I can totally relate, you know, I mean, the only reason I don't cry anymore, because I just been crying so much for my friends and everybody who got involved in the project. Like right now, one of my faculty, Anna Shvidina, she's in Sumy City, which is surrounded and basically cut off from the electricity, from communication. I cannot reach her anymore. She had two parents that are disabled. She couldn't move to Kiev. So basically I was telling her to move to Kiev, but then she did not. And so basically she could not physically. So I don't have a connection with her. We built together the program for Masters in Global Management. Will I see her again? I don't know. Another faculty that is right now, two more in faculty are in a sign up for military. I don't know how useful it is to have a professor with a gun, but they're defending their country, you know. And so obviously I just checked right now the internal communication email that we have for the university, and literally there's like 4 emails, and most of them are from the Western partners that basically you know, saying, hold on guys. It's really easy to say that, right? I mean, to be honest, I don't even want to write emails on that server, because it's just like, what can I say? You know, I'm safely here in my home in Cleveland, you know, with a sunny day. And what I'll say, you know, I'm cheering for you guys. So yeah, so we are trying to do everything to stay connected, but mostly what I do is by petitions and different media. I mean, I contact with media probably like 4 or 5 times a day, give interviews. I write dozens of letters. I wrote 2 letters to President Biden. I wrote to Congress and Senate. And I mean, I've became a co-chair of the humanitarian aid organization just to raise money, and we are flying some planes right now. Well, this is what we can do. This is what we can help right now. When the future comes and we need to rebuild, we will need funding, especially we'll need to have more investment. And I think a lot of firms and a lot of companies will be more even willing so to help, because despite the risks, because they understand that there is more than money at stake here. Exactly right. There's more than money at stake here. We're paying our faculty, even though they don't do any work right now because they can't. I mean, so this is the least that we can do. We will need to get the grants for our university, because obviously a lot of partners that we were partnering with, including IMPAM, are bleeding themselves, so we need the help from the West. We'll need to have just as much as we're boycotting right now Russian companies and companies that work with Russia, we will need to create a support for companies to work with Ukraine, for companies to work with Ukrainian-based companies that want to invest in Ukraine. We'll need to create flash mobs. We'll need to create the additional funding and maybe even tax breaks. And this will need to be done in order to rebuild the country. So there's a lot that we can do. And I hope we'll be doing this together.
I agree. And Vitaly, I just want to throw over the question to you before we open it up to the audience to see if anyone else has any questions. What's work been like? I know Jamie mentioned that you got an interesting background sound in your Zoom calls, but what does it look like?
Yeah, thanks Jamie for this heartbreaking speech from you. It is very nice to hear such warm words. Thank you. And actually, yeah, we're like a family, and it is really hard to start and work these days. Like when it all started at Thursday at 5 a.m. Like you just wake up from the sound of rockets that just hit your airport. And actually, I know what is war. I'm starting from 2014. I've lived in Avdiivka that time, and that started that time. The war started there at Donbas region, and we've actually sit down with the family, and we've had no thoughts that it will come to our small city. We just thought it will just disappear like in several days. Like we think it's not gonna be a big war or something like this, but days passed, and the sounds of the weapons just closer and closer to our city. So we've decided to move from Avdiivka to Kharkiv, and that time we've taken our family and moved here. And now at 2022 the war came to Kharkiv again, like, and not only to Kharkiv, to all other regions. And the most complicated thing is, of course, is your mental health. Like you need to concentrate on the work. And the first day we just can't focus on the work. Like we've been reading news, how it can happen, how it all can happen, how the Russia can just start war again against Ukraine. And we had no one day just was day off for everyone to realize what to do next, how to live next, where to move, what to do. And then the next days we just looked at the situation and started who was in a safer situation that developers can continue their work. And for us who were, for example, in the Kharkiv, the work is a way to forget about what happens outside the window, and to have some kind of shift of your focus to the work, not to think about the war. Yeah, we understand that the war is going on, and the bomb may hit maybe your house or somewhere near, but sitting and thinking about it is even more it gives you more fear than just sit and work on something, and your brains just think about solving the tasks, then solving the news puzzle, something like this. And when days have passed and the work continues, it is now more and more people slowly continue to work and continue to spend more hours on the work. Like it is like a mental shock have passed, and now everyone understand that maybe it will not end up too soon, but the work needs to be done. Like we need to raise funds, to earn funds, and that way slowly, day by day, the developers join the team and start working, well, at least several hours, but not a full day, but still they start making the work, maybe with those thoughts in mind that the work will help them to overcome the thoughts about the war.
Thank you for that. That is very, very powerful and a very difficult situation to be in, where work is your escape from war. And unfortunately, it is what we are experiencing today. It is what you are experiencing today. It is the reality that you live. And I want to thank you all, Sasha, Vitaly, Rod, Roman, for joining us today, for sharing your stories, for sharing your difficult experiences, and hopefully, our audience listened and took something from this and tried to understand a little bit more of the day-to-day difficulties that you all have to experience. So thank you all again, and I'd like to turn it back over to Michael.
Great. Igor, thank you for a wonderful job moderating the discussion. It's funny, it was Monday when I sent out a note to basically folks that I was connected to on LinkedIn that were from the Ukraine, because I thought this story of sort of the deep connectivity on the entrepreneurship side, and it's funny, Rod, I was thinking about TOA. I remember way back when talking to you and Veale and knowing that a lot of your success in building TOA, which was acquired by Oracle, and was in partnership with friends in the Ukraine. Jamie, it was nice sort of through our networks to learn about your work with Vitaly. And, I think today's discussion shows a couple things. I mean, one, business is about, and entrepreneurship is about connecting people. So it's Vitaly, you and Sasha working with partners in the US and other parts of the world to build great tech companies. And people just want their app to work. They want all the things that we do and rely on. We often don't know the many people and where they're from that make all of our technology work. And I think part of the story of the Ukraine and building a great community of developers and entrepreneurs is that it's powering the Oracles and the never endings of the world. And I think people don't often know that story because you don't go to the never ending website of the Oracle website and it says powered by the Ukraine. It's just all the people. But I feel like today's conversation was sort of a powerful reminder of the friendships and the connectivity that we have as people, whether we're sitting here in Cleveland or in the Ukraine. So thank you for everyone for joining. I really, sometimes pulling together something quickly like this works, just given, and I was worried, obviously, Sasha and Vitaly, about your internet connectivity. I mean, Jamie was mentioning, Vitaly, that your internet's been down. So wasn't quite sure if we'd be talking to each other this morning or talking to friends in the Ukraine. So thank you everybody for joining. Obviously Vitaly and Sasha, we're thinking of you and everyone in the Ukraine and wishing you well. And I I think another message that comes out of this is looking for ways. There's the humanitarian piece of what we can do to support friends in the Ukraine, and then there's the business piece and just continuing to find ways to interact and continue to do business. And I know, you know, as Rod mentioned or Jamie mentioned, I mean, we first and foremost are worried about safety, but for people that are able to work, the fact that funds are flowing and work is happening. And Roman, thank you for, I know how crazy your schedule is. Thanks for taking a few minutes to join and giving us an update on your work. We do at the Veale Institute have lots of other programs, including a number, you can check our website, but to me, none more important than today's discussion. So again, thank you everybody for joining. And yeah, Sasha and Veale and friends in Ukraine will continue to monitor what's going on and be thinking of you and friends. So thank you again for everybody for joining, and have a great weekend.